Don't fight anything that jumps up into your mind. Don't push it away. Don't think that meditation's not working just because something from the past comes in. Are you tired of playing the victim? I mean, don't get me wrong, playing the victim is great. It gets you lots of sympathy and attention from others, but I'll tell you what, it does not actually help you heal. If you're interested in learning how to use meditation to bootstrap yourself up out of your suffering into a place of inner peace, please watch on. Hey friend, welcome back to the channel. It's David Wegman. I'm a former sniper turned meditator and yogin. I'm also the director of Kailash Ashram, a traditional meditation and yoga retreat where we share really accessible meditation and yoga practices to help you find inner peace, happiness, contentment, and genuine well-being. Today's sharing comes from our weekly question and answer session recorded live out here at the ashram, where we tackle questions that are given to us by our ashram members. In this video, we're going to cover some really practical, down and dirty ways that a meditation practice will be able to help you shift away from that victim mindset into a happier version of you. No meditation will be able to stop those things that have happened to you that caused you, whether it's trauma or life events that have caused you to suffer. Meditation doesn't erase the past, but in reforming our relationship to the thoughts and experiences that we've gone through, we can really start moving in the direction of happiness and ultimately a better life for us and those around us.
Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
And so what we were thinking about today is really, how does meditation support that journey of transitioning from being a victim into being a soul, being someone who's free, someone who's living their best life. It's certainly, at the outset, one thing that meditation cannot do is erase anything that has happened. And maybe we do see some people from time to time who've got unrealistic expectations around what a meditation practice is. It's certainly not a way of stopping or forgetting about the past instantaneously. You know, it doesn't work like that. Oh, not with my experience. I certainly haven't. I haven't been able to stop the flow of any one particular thought by conscious effort or by imposition, by jumping on top of it. Like, this is an issue, this is something that happened to me. Okay, mind, I never want you to think of any single thought that is related to that thing ever again. It's like, well, I haven't been able to cultivate the meditative power to just turn it off like a tap. But in reflection today, as we were really focusing in on just how meditation can support that journey of becoming whole again, the first thing that it assists with is acceptance. So what is acceptance? What is it to accept the experience that we've been through? Now, acceptance for me is witnessing the physical sensations, witnessing the mental stories around it. It's a pure, balanced, equanimous state of observation. It doesn't mean needing to judge, fix, work, do, let go. It is just the pure witness. So the first thing that meditation can do to you, you plonk yourself down for 30 minutes and you sit there, and then perhaps some of the thoughts or sensations arise regarding an experience that's happened to you. Just witness. Don't seek to do anything. There's a powerful healing capacity that emerges when we look into and just observe without judgment any particular sensation or thought as it arises. So most definitely, first meditation will help you witness the acute things as they arise. That may be residual thoughts or projections or ideas that you have about any particular experience. The next thing that meditation can really help you regarding this move away from victimhood, what I've experienced is over some months of meditation, some days you drop into a very, very quiet place quite quickly, but over a protracted period of meditation, there's a lessening of the amount of thoughts that vie for one's attention. And little bit by little bit, space is created. So that inner space doesn't need to be filled with anything. That space is really quite blissful, even if it's just half a second between thoughts. But what happens for me is when I have space in my own consciousness, insight begins to emerge. So the first step was acceptance. The next step Rajni and I came up with was getting your aim right. So after you create cognitive balance, that's mental balance, the direction that you need to travel starts to reveal itself. Well, what would those directions be? Well, for us as an ashram, we have a set of values that we have distilled out of our own experience, which are tied to each one of the energy centers. And as you find what it is that are your personal values, and these values, I'm not talking about just like nice to haves. These are the backbone of the code that you live by. Now, they may be inherited by, religion or by a tradition that you're connected to, maybe your upbringing, or just what you feel is your sense of common humanity and decency. The meditation can support you in reasserting yourself and understanding that, yes, I do want this going forward. So, if it's at the heart level, it might be after a little bit of meditation, you connect more deeply to the notion of genuinely wanting to forgive those people who have hurt you. Okay, so you've accepted what happens, which, by the way, doesn't mean, tolerating that continued behavior into the future, but a sense of acceptance that there's nothing that you can do to change an act from the past. Aim, you're understanding where it is that you would like to be going, i.e. living a life full of love and maybe forgiveness. And then the third thing that would arise, or that we felt might be a practical step for people to follow, it's at that place that you can begin to take action towards things. Okay, if you're acting from a place prior to having accepted the thing that you've done, that happened to you in the past, chances are that action is going to be governed by the unconscious energy that you accumulated from that experience. So that might be characterized by reactiveness or running away from the pain of the situation, or indeed holding on to that situation because it creates a sympathy-worthy story for you to use as a hook to draw people into your world. So surrender, and in particular this meditation that we share, letting go of absolutely everything, when you first start out, surrendering your attachment to the thing that you may have experienced that was difficult in the past, well, the meditation will definitely force you into an encounter where if you grip onto any thoughts, it will just drive the mind even more insane. So persistent meditation will require that you cultivate some sense of letting go. It will give rise to the aim that you're looking for. Now, if might be at the navel chakra, that an experience out of the past was to do with not having a flame burning bright enough. You didn't have really much of a sense of an individuated self. Well, through the process of meditation, you might begin to hear who you are from the inside. You might begin to feel content and satisfied with your personality. And only then, after having cut the attachment from the past and knowing a little bit more what that positive future that you would like to bring about is, only then will your actions upon that path lead you where you actually want to go. We see some people who feel out of the pain of trauma or past experience a desire to do something, to get action straight away. I just want to drown out the negative thoughts with positive thoughts. I want to chase something that makes me feel instantaneously good. And I guess the difference between what we're suggesting here is that the meditation provides a little buffer to fully feel the shitness from the pain, but also to give you the space to set that future before you begin your action upon it. Now, what are those actions that you need to take in terms of, walking forward upon your path? Well, this is a little bit of the catch with the path of surrender, when the lay person or somebody who doesn't have so much experience with it can really take surrender as an excuse not to go and do the things that need to be done. Now, if you need a conversation to happen and you're afraid of speaking your truth and you're fearful of the judgment of others, surrender doesn't look like shutting up and just suppressing your emotions. Surrender looks like witnessing and accepting that those emotions are there, hearing that inner voice that might say, I would like to have a good relationship with this person, and then taking the action of picking up the telephone and saying all of the things that need to be said. Our experience has been that if you deny the action piece and just treat surrender as an escape tool and think that if you just do 10 hours of meditation that all of your problems are going to go away, that you're really living outside of the operation of the normal life on planet Earth. So insofar as we are in the body and that we're here, there is a requirement to conduct ourselves in the world. And so if that action is coming from a place of having accepted the past, and that doesn't mean that we endorse the things that have happened to us, but it's a larger contextual sense of acceptance where perhaps, for our tradition, we see that, well, maybe there was some karma at play. Maybe I put that out there and this was just a boomerang coming back to me, or perhaps that person who hurt me or that organization who hurt me, maybe their actions were born in ignorance, not in malice. Or perhaps the people have just yet to have the experience I have, so they see the world from a radically different place. So acceptance, aim with persistent meditation, you're like, well, I know what the right thing is. This is my ideal. Now, in terms of understanding what to aim at, well, this is where in the Guru Shishya tradition, we would look at like a guru as an embodiment of those virtues that we wish to have ourselves. So, for a Christian, you would be looking to Christ to be informed about how high a sense of compassion and tolerance and forgiveness you could cultivate inside of your heart. So it can be really useful whilst you're working out what your own personal values are to be inspired by those in the world around you, people who really resonate on a deep level of your being. That resonance is the soul saying, I would like to have those virtues alive inside of me. And from that place, then having the courage or surrendering, for me, a lot of the time, it's fear that prevents me taking those actions. Now, the really, really beautiful and awesome thing around after going through that witnessing part, then stepping into your action, action hijacks our reward circuitry. So action towards a goal makes us feel good. Climbing to the analogy would be that if we were on a journey up the mountain, no single step is significantly important. And most people think that, well, all of the joy will be revealed once you attain the summit. But what happens neurologically is when we posit a goal that is lofty enough, and that might be living in love or living with Christ's love fully in your heart or something like that, you set that as this really high goal. Each little step that you take towards accomplishing or embodying that supreme or higher virtue fills you with positive emotion. And so you literally start feeling good moving in relationship to a goal, not in attaining it. And, you know, it might take a human being like an entire lifetime of forgiveness to cultivate anything resembling what Christ was able to do. Or, you know, it might take us decades to cultivate the inner balance of mind that Swamiji has been able to cultivate. So the purpose of action isn't to compare ourselves necessarily to these great masters, but it's to make ourselves to make ourselves feel engaged and positive upon that path. And there's a really different feeling moving towards a virtue that you know is deeply held by your own heart than simply running away from trauma or running away from pain. Okay, so you know, I hope that this kind of helps like understand practically like just why meditation is a useful tool in this journey healing from trauma and getting away from the victim mindset into a really self-realized, peaceful way of being. So as a recap, like don't fight anything that jumps up into your mind. Don't push it away. Don't think that meditation's not working just because something from the past comes in. It's just pushing you to cultivate a little bit of a softer relationship to the thing. Also, don't be shy of really articulating for yourself your most divine version of you. Who would you be if God could give you all of the resources and time and money for you to be the most chilled out, peaceful you? What would be those values that you held near and dear to your heart? And finally, in a really pragmatic way, what are those handful of actions that are required of you to do today in order to bring about that reality? And if you start operating from that place, I'm not suggesting anybody listening or watching is operating from a different place, but I certainly spent periods in my life like Rajni, where I framed my shit, and I, you know, on my rough days where I'm not so with it and I'm not so supportive of myself, I can get attached to my suffering instead of inspired by moving towards peace. And look, the reality of moving towards peace and what a peaceful life is when you attain it, for me, we are eternally moving towards that state of peace. Life is eternally changing. Each day, new challenges are thrown to us. We enter into new phases of our life. So peace is not a static condition. It is not a destination that is arrived at. It is a way of being, of moving towards something of more significant value to you. And the deeper those values are, the more heartfelt, the more profound they are, the more that they're really kind of, they're not someone else's. You're not being loving because other people said being loving is going to set you free. You're being loving because you've come to the realization yourself that that's the only way out of your suffering. And once you tap into that layer of your being, well, this is what we believe it is to have your soul as your guru or your soul guiding you. I hope that you are inspired to walk upon this path of meditation and to believe that maybe being that victim isn't actually the right thing. No offense if you are playing the victim card. We've all done it at some stage in our life. Transcending it and going beyond, though, is what this life is about, and who you are when you let go of that victimhood is somebody way more interesting to you, your soul, your loved ones, your friends, and your family. I can assure you of that. If you're interested in getting started with meditation, we've created a 7-week meditation challenge sharing the ancient Himalayan meditation practice. It's called 7 Weeks to the Soul because that's what we're going to do. We're going to go on a journey over 7 weeks of traditional meditation, connecting inward to the soul. Make sure you click the link in the description below. If you want to learn a little bit more about how I bootstrap my own self up out of my own shit, then please make sure you click this video where I talk about some of my experiences transitioning out of the army into a life of peace out here at the ashram. Okay, see ya.